On today's show, we're with a couple searching for a new home and a chance to try their hand at hospitality in a particularly beautiful part of the countryside.
The view's stunning, you've got the mountains, you've got the sea. What more could you ask for?
We're spoilt for choice with the scenery.
It's beautiful and it's how I imagine country living to be.
And we might just fulfil the brief for their business aspirations too.
There is potential here, with a capital P.
And that's why we showed it to you.
Escaping to the country isn't just about finding that perfect property. For me, it's also about finding that perfect view. And sitting here looking out over Aberfrau Bay towards the peaks of Snowdonia on the Isle of Ynys-Môn, which is Welsh for Anglesey, I reckon I've done just that. Not a bad way to start today's show from stunning northwest Wales. Our house hunt today focuses on the Welsh counties of the Isle of Anglesey and Gwynedd. In Gwynedd, the average price of detached properties is around £219,000, and on the Isle of Anglesey it's a tad higher at £232,000, but both sit below the overall figure for Wales. With more than 300 miles of magnificent coastlines and the spectacular Snowdonia mountain range, this region is the adventure playground for adrenaline seekers. If it's a slower pace you're after, the very same landscapes offer some of the best walking routes in the country and the opportunity to relax on any one of the 80+ beaches that can be found here. It's probably fair to say that the scenery of northwest Wales is the highlight for both visitors and locals.
Ges I fy magu'n Sir Fôn a felly di tyfu fyny yn gweld yr holl fynyddoedd o bell o'r Carneddau hyd at yr Eifl. A mae hyn wedi cael dylanwad cryf ar fy ngwaith, dwi'n meddwl. Mae'r lliwiau sy'n cael eu creu gan natur hefyd yn fy ysbrydoli yn enwedig y lliwiau bendigedig ma da ni'n cael yn yr awyr yn ystod toriad gwawr a machlud haul, a does na nunlla gwell na Gogledd Cymru i weld y machlud.
I bet many of the 30 million visitors who come here every year dream of these landscapes long after they've left.
Mae'r tirlun arbennig sydd ganddo ni yn bendant yn ysbrydoli pobl creadigol o bob maes, beirdd, llenorion, cerddorion ac artistiaid. A ma'n hwtha wedyn yn ysbrydoli ei gilydd a phobl eraill drwy gwaith.
And let's not forget that one of Europe's oldest languages is still very much alive here.
Mae'n ardal hardd ofnadwy efo llawer o hanes, mae'n ardal Gymreig, mae'r iaith yn bwysig i ni.
I think northwest Wales and Anglesey are some of the most Welsh parts of Wales you can find, visually and culturally. Around 70% of locals here speak the mother tongue. As for today's couple, well, one of them is a returning native, and as well as wanting to find a new home here, both of them are banking on holiday makers loving this beautiful area just as much as they do.
What makes you a good team?
Go on, Joe, you go first.
Keeps telling me what to do. No, you just like talking.
We do consult each other and we do eventually come to an agreement.
That sounds all.
Yeah.
We do eventually.
No. I could have said, but eventually Joe comes to my way of thinking.
Joe, a part-time bookkeeper.
I was joking, lad.
And Paul, a freelance business consultant, live in Kenilworth in Warwickshire.
One of the things I do is football coaching, and my lad was the same age as Joe's lad, and they were both in the same team, and I was the football coach. That's where we originally met, although we only got together quite a few years after that, and we've been together for about 6 years now.
Paul and Joe each have 2 grown-up children from their first marriages, and Paul moved in with Joe a couple of years ago.
We were planning to get married this summer, but due to the pandemic, we've put things on hold. But we've decided not to put our dream of moving away to the countryside on hold. Those plans are still very much online. It will be the first home that we buy together, and I'm sure we both have our own personal stamps that we want to add.
I've always lived in modern properties, and this is probably going to be farmhousey type of thing. We'll probably end up living in something that's a bit more dated, so it's going to be quite a quite a new experience, really.
I lead Jo to do the interiors because she is so good at interior decorating and design. I'm probably more focused to the outside area. I have done some landscape gardening before, just as an amateur, and I would like to carry that on again, maybe on a bigger project, perhaps with the mountains as a backdrop, and I'm sure North Wales is going to provide plenty of opportunity for that. Does that sound all right or not?
It sounds like you work with the Welsh Tourist Board.
Well, Paul does have a natural affinity with the country. After all, he was born and bred there. He left aged 18, so it's only taken him nearly 40 years to return.
Shall I mention about moving towards semi-retirement as well?
Are we?
Well, yeah, well, I am.
That could be interesting, bearing in mind that this move isn't just about finding their first home together. They also want to start a brand new holiday let business.
We're looking to have a main property and maybe 2 or 3 cottages. I've already got lots of visions of how to style the homes.
But Paul also has plans to make his mark on the interiors. An avid photographer, he hopes the North Wales landscape will provide inspiration for photographs that could adorn the walls of their home and the holiday lets.
Paul gets bored easily, so he needs to have a project to get his teeth into.
That's true.
Doesn't sound like this move will allow much time for boredom, or semi-retirement for that matter.
I'm really looking forward to the new chapter in our lives. It's our first home together, and I've always been landlocked, lived in the Midlands, so escaping out to the countryside and to the coast is, well, it's a dream.
They have big plans to run holiday lets from their new home, but I think Jo's going to have her hands full getting Paul out of that garden and down to business. But really, who can blame him for wanting to take things a little easier and enjoy his new life here? Paul and Jo each have a family home to sell, which means they have a big combined budget for this move. They're after a characterful home for themselves with 2 or 3 bedrooms. For the business side of things, they'd like at least 2 holiday lets, or the potential to create them, and they'd be quite happy with 2 to 3 acres of land. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, is their desire to be close to the coast. A sea view would be the icing on the cake. We have a marvellous medley of properties lined up that I hope will fulfil their brief, and after we've viewed each one, I'll test their valuation skills before revealing the price tag. For our final property, the Mystery House, we've really rolled with their idea for a new business venture. So before we get down to business, we're all meeting up for a quick cuppa. Well, we're here in North Wales, almost ready to house hunt. I just need to check a couple of things. When you say semi-retirement, Paul, does that mean you're retiring and you're not?
Oh, I hope not, Salali. I think we're doing it together.
Well, I've spent many years travelling back and forward to the office and quite some distance at times. So perhaps semi-retirement means not so much travelling to work on a daily basis. We've always had this vision of moving into, you know, the countryside, and if we can do it with a holiday let business, then we got a mixture between business and lifestyle.
How's your Welsh, Paul?
Non-existent at the moment. But that's one thing we could do, is learn a little bit of Welsh.
I thought it'd be more help for me today.
Yeah, no.
No. All right. Maybe my Welsh is better, Paul. Let's find out. Should we hit the road?
Let's do it.
Our search starts on the Isle of Anglesey, and our first stop is the village of Benllech. One of Anglesey's most desirable seaside villages. In 2020, the beach here was judged by the Sunday Times as one of Britain's best. And just a 15-minute walk heading inland from the beach is our first property. Well, here we are. House number 1.
Wow, that's amazing.
Absolutely stunning. I see it's like a little courtyard set back off the road, and it's very private.
First thoughts, excellent.
And then over there, which I see you've spied already,
Yes.
2 holiday cottages.
Right.
Super. What a find. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Sounds like Jo's bought it already.
I
Should we
know.
go?
Well, yes, I think we've got to go inside, but it invites you, it pulls you through.
And that's just it. It's welcoming for you, but can you imagine?
Yeah, it's magical.
Lovely. Should we head in?
Yes,
go.
please.
Well, I couldn't ask for a more positive reaction than that. This traditional Welsh farmhouse is thought to have been built in the mid-1700s, and the single-storey extension was added in the 1960s. Just last year, the owners clad the exterior in this lovely red-hued Siberian larch. Inside the extension, we find a very large office and utility room, a downstairs shower room, and the kitchen.
So this is the recent addition to the house. What do you think?
First impressions is it's a little small for a kitchen. That's not a deal breaker as far as I'm concerned, but it does look a little small.
Bijou, you'd perhaps describe it, but it's actually very well laid out, and the view from out here is stunning.
Let me show you the rest, the old part of the house.
Thank you.
This is where you really start to see the age of the property.
Oh, I love the beams, Sonali, they're beautiful. And the fireplace.
This would have been originally what they called the parlour.
Gee whiz. This is something else, isn't it? It's absolutely stunning. You know, I can imagine Christmas in here.
It's so characteristic.
I love the baker's oven.
Well, I'm blown away. It's very nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
me too, me too.
This feels very homely, and I think for the two of us and Billy, our dog, I think we'd love it here.
The praise for this house just keeps on coming. The upstairs was reconfigured 10 years ago when ensuites were added to both bedrooms. The first bedroom is a generous-sized double with solid oak flooring and an ensuite large enough for a bath. The second bedroom is even bigger.
Oh yeah, this is delightful, wonderful, isn't it? Look at the beams,
Very nice.
Paul.
Yeah.
And nice high ceilings, which is good for you.
Yeah.
This one has an ensuite shower room.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I love the exposed brickwork, Paul.
Yeah, the wall's very nice.
That's Paul and Joe's accommodation taken care of. Now we turn our attention to the business side of this move. Outside, in the courtyard, are two-bed barn conversions, which the current owners operate as successful holiday lets. The barns have a 5-star rating from Visit Wales and currently bring in around £35,000 to £40,000 a year. The majority of bookings come from returning guests.
So this cottage is flipped upside down because the living space has that view.
That's amazing, that really is.
The view's stunning. You've got the mountains, you've got the sea. What more could you ask for?
The sun's shining out on there today. It's like heaven. It's beautiful.
I'd come on holiday here, and I think that's a good sign.
Outside, there are opportunities to grow the business since this property comes with just over 6 acres of land. If Paul and Joe so wished, the fields could be developed to provide extra accommodation, such as glamping pods or yurts.
How much is it going to cost you? What do you think it's on the market
I'll let
for?
you go first, Joe.
I think it's going to be close to the top of our budget. So I'm going to say 1.15.
I'm going to go 1,100,000. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Don't need to keep your fingers crossed. You'll both be pleased then, I think, considering your guesses. It's on the market for £1 million. Bang on.
That's
Brilliant.
very good.
That's very good, yes, yeah.
That's excellent news.
Have a look around. So much land to see. And then we'll catch up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What a fantastic start. It's such a well-presented offering, and I'm not sure how we're going to top it, but you know we'll try.
Under budget by £200,000, this stunning 18th century cottage comes with 2 beautifully converted barns, which are already run as a thriving holiday let business. The location is on the edge of one of Anglesea's most desirable seaside villages and within walking distance of the beach. It also has 6 acres of land, including substantial formal lawns, a walled garden and an orchard.
From the moment we walked up the driveway, I just had a feeling that this could be a fantastic home.
From a business perspective, I think this has great opportunity. We're buying something that's ready to go. From day one, there could be business income potential, and that's obviously something that we're interested in.
Wondering when I'd see you again?
What an amazing house.
Isn't it just? But to stay here, you've either got to buy it or book in as a guest. So let's go.
Thank you.
Paul and Joe's move to the country is as much about finding them a holiday let business as it is about finding their dream home. So we've arranged for them to meet Sam Meeson, the owner of award-winning holiday lets near South Stack, which, with its 100-metre-high cliffs, is one of Anglesea's top tourist destinations.
This is the exact view that back in 2013 I came for the day with a friend, and I thought, yes, this is the place that I want to be. This is the place where I want to live, to wake up every day. And so for me, this is where the dream really began.
If anyone knows what our buyers are about to let themselves in for, it's Sam. 7 years ago, she left her urban life behind and decided to take a chance on the new and unknown world of hospitality here on Anglesea.
What brought you up to this part of the world?
Well, I was here on the mainland with a friend, and we came over to Anglesea to South Stack for the day. And as we drove by, I could see a for sale sign outside Tynan and just thought, wow, what an absolutely stunning, amazing place that would be to live. You know, if I felt that way, then I felt sure that anybody staying there would feel exactly the same.
So have you ever done anything like this before, Sam?
No, absolutely not. Complete midlife crisis, as my friends would say. The kids had finished school, off to university, and it was just an exciting new phase of my life.
So same position as us?
Absolutely. Fresh start.
Sam literally had to build her B&B business from the ground up.
So when I arrived, the main farmhouse was completely covered in bramble and ivy, so from the roadside, not visible at all. Good homes for the sheep, but not for people.
She renovated and extended the original farmhouse to create a luxury 4-bedroom holiday let.
I've tried to be as sustainable as I can, so as well as ground source heat, there's zinc roofing, there's aluminium rain guttering, there's timber clad, and I've used all of the stone from here on site to build the walls and to build inside.
Sam kept one of the barns as her own home and converted the other into a second let, a contemporary 2-bed, 2-bath dwelling with a Welsh name that translates to Spirit of the Mountains, thanks to those views over Holyhead Mountain.
What's the difference between a holiday let renovation and that for a normal renovation?
I really don't think there is any difference. While I was building it, I was always thinking of the things that I liked when I was away on holiday, what I expected to find. And I think actually the higher the standard, the more respectful the guest is. That's my experience, that's what I find.
And what's been the most rewarding aspect for you?
It's taking myself back to that very first guest and meeting that same guest every single year, that's just an amazing feeling.
What advice would you give us before we set foot in this world?
It's completely hard work. It's taken over my life for 7 years, but you know, hard work pays off and it's all worth it in the end. So hopefully I haven't put you both off.
You haven't yet. We're certainly looking forward to the journey.
I wish you both the very, very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're back on the road heading inland to the heart of Anglesea and the tiny hamlet of Coedana. It's a remote location. The county town of Llangefni is about 6 miles away. But there, Paul and Joe will find everything they need, including all the essential high street chains. Off a country lane with not a neighbour in sight sits the property in question, and it's a very different proposition from the house we viewed this morning.
So here we are at the farmhouse.
Wow.
Grand, isn't it? It's really big. I love the stone fascia.
Obviously, it's at different stages of development. There's
Yes.
obviously some of this still needs to be completed.
And that's what this is, really. It really is a development opportunity. And it's really how busy you want to be, what you can manage.
It's certainly an opportunity to put your stamp on it and make it as big and as fancy as you like.
You've got it, Paul. This Grade 2 listed farmhouse, which dates back to the 16th century, has been totally transformed and significantly extended to create a contemporary family home.
How's this? I mean, probably not big enough, right?
Wow.
This is big. This is big.
It's massive, and those windows, I mean, look at the view out there. It just brings the outside in. It's, well, amazing.
We could have a
Amazing.
party in here.
We most certainly could, yes.
And the party could continue in the living room within the oldest part of the house.
In comparison to that kitchen, this actually looks small, and yet it really isn't.
You're right, it's plenty big enough.
Yeah, I like the feature of the Inglenook fireplace. Although it looks old, and it is old, it's got a real modern feel to it, and I can see a vision.
You want to dress the house, don't
I
you?
most certainly do.
For me, I'm not totally in love with it yet, if I'm honest. But I think maybe with Joe's skills on the interior design, it would certainly make it feel more homely to me.
I wonder whether the lack of homeliness that Paul describes could be because it isn't actually used as a family home. With an impressive 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, the owners rent out the whole house as a luxury holiday let, which brings in between £30,000 to £45,000 a year. Outside, in the courtyard, there are 4 barns, and one has already been converted into a 4-bedroom property. It could be a holiday let. It could also be Paul and Joe's home.
What have you?
I didn't expect this. It's just like looking at a photograph. It's beautiful, and it's how I imagine country living to be.
Can you understand why the family have decided to live in this property rather than the other one? I mean...
Yeah, there's still plenty of space in this property for a family, but there's plenty of business opportunity over there.
Yeah, this would be ideal for us because we're not looking for a large house. We're looking for something a bit more compact. We'd probably convert a bedroom downstairs to a study, but this is ideal for us.
And actually, you have an opportunity to make your own home here as well, in one of the undeveloped barns.
There's so much potential, and that appeals too.
There is potential here, with a capital P.
And that's why we showed it to you.
There are 2 more outbuildings that remain completely untouched and could, with planning permission, also be converted into more accommodation. Next to the main house, there's another barn that's part-way through renovation and could be turned into another holiday let. There's certainly a lot of work to do here, but Paul and Joe will be glad to know that the land is a much more manageable proposition.
With this property, you look out at far more land than you would own. You've got 2 to 3 acres to yourself, so this paddock, the wraparound garden, and then you don't have to look after anything else.
Well, we didn't want a massive amount of land, so that sounds just about right, actually.
Yeah, perfect.
How much is it on the market for, the whole offering?
I think it's a little bit lower this time, because I still think there's quite a bit of work to do. So I will say 950,000.
I'm going to go 925,000.
It's actually on the market for £800,000.
Oh, right.
So £400,000 under your top budget.
Well, that gives plenty of opportunity to really put a big stamp on this.
Absolutely. So go and have another look around with that spare money in mind, because actually you could do a lot with it, couldn't you? And I'll meet you out the front.
£400,000 under budget, this Grade 2 listed farmhouse with its complex of outbuildings provides some serious development potential. The 6-bed main house already runs as a successful holiday let, and there's a separate 4-bed barn conversion. It comes with around 3 acres of land, and despite being in the middle of the island, it's still only a 15-minute drive from the coast.
I like this house, and I think it's got great potential.
I think Joe likes it probably a little bit better than I do. I can certainly see the development opportunity here, but I still think that there's quite a bit to do.
For 800,000, I just think it's amazing, and it gives us a good budget to totally redevelop it and put our stamp and our style into it. So that, you know, that was well, music to my ears.
Have you seen everything?
Yes, thank you.
There's lots to see, but we think we've seen it all.
Yeah, with lots to see. I was just sitting here admiring the view.
Yep.
That's it for day one of house hunting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's head off.
We're in northwest Wales searching for a home and holiday let business for Paul and Joe from Kenilworth in Warwickshire. Still to come, we reveal our mystery house.
Yeah, it looks impressive.
Yeah, but it's not for you to enjoy. Would you like to run it?
That's a curveball.
Yes, yeah.
And I take to the high seas.
It's not the Indian Ocean,
It's not the Indian Ocean, but it's beautiful Anglesey.
To make their escape to the country, Joe and Paul have an incredible £1.2 million to spend. But a seven-figure budget is not necessary to make the move to this part of the world. This three-bedroom detached home on Anglesey, on the market for offers over £400,000, is a stone's throw away from the beach at Porthaelian Cove, where you can regularly spot porpoises. If it's a short break on the island you're after, you could stay in this converted Grade 2 listed windmill in Rosniger. It has 3 bedrooms and costs upwards of £120 per night. Or how about this? A 4-bedroom holiday cottage with a private garden and views of Anglesey's countryside. Prices start from £550 for a 3-night stay.
It is day 2 of our property search, which means I get to reveal our mystery house. And this one is going to be a real surprise. And I think it'll test the boundaries of their business plan.
Today we're travelling to the county of Gwynedd on the Welsh mainland, heading for the coast and the market town of Pwllheli, the unofficial capital of the Llyn Peninsula. The town's main beach is a haven for sun worshippers who come to lap up the all-day rays that this south-facing beach gets during the summer months. Just a couple of miles up the road, set at the end of a long sweeping drive, sits our mystery house. It's a stunning Grade 2 listed Georgian mansion run by the present owners for 34 years as an award-winning restaurant with rooms. Yes, we've taken our buyer's desire for a holiday cottage business and supersized it to the max.
I think Paul and Joe are going to be blown away by our mystery house, mainly because running a boutique hotel is not something they've ever considered. But I think they should. And if you're going to run one, it should look like this.
We're told it was described by a restaurant critic as surely the prettiest house in Wales. I've got to say, I agree.
They are going to love the main restaurant here. And even if they don't end up buying this place, they'll be back as patrons.
Set in 5 acres of woodland and exquisitely maintained gardens, there's no doubt that it will put their business aspirations to the test.
I absolutely love this courtyard, and that annex back there, that is where Paul and Joe could set up home. Welcome, welcome to the mystery house. Or should I say, hotel.
Oh,
Well, the mystery house always has something different, so we were expecting something different, but it looks impressive.
Yeah, but it's not for you to enjoy. Would you like to run it?
Oh, right.
You said you wanted a new business.
Yes.
Well, an opportunity has come up to perhaps run this restaurant with rooms.
Oh, we haven't thought of that, have we?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
That's a curveball.
yes, yeah.
Shall we go in and explore?
Sure.
Please.
I have a business plan for you.
Whilst Paul and Joe could own this property, the question is whether they would be prepared to live under the same roof as their guests.
How's this for a period property?
Oh, it's really, truly impressive.
Yeah, you can see all the Georgian features in here.
And it feels like somewhere homely for guests, doesn't it?
It most certainly does.
Very tastefully done.
There are 8 rooms here, and you have a few options when it comes to where you would live.
One option is to convert the 3 guest rooms on the top floor back into an apartment. Alternatively, there's a separate 2-bed annex in the courtyard that could, with some renovation work, be turned into their home.
Plenty of scope.
Yes, exactly.
I must admit, I'm more of the preference to not work and live in the same building. I like there to be a change, so maybe, you know, the annex might be the place which I'd be keener on.
I understand that. Either way, they would get to be lord and lady of this gorgeous manor.
So this is the drawing room, the parlour. And this might just look like a corridor to the garden, but actually, hold your horses.
I know this sociable couple just love entertaining. And I think they'd be very happy serving their guests from behind here.
We've got our own bar.
They could, if they wished to continue with the food side of the business, also have their own restaurant, which has carved out a nationwide reputation for serving up superb, locally sourced delights.
It had a Michelin star for 14 years, so more than any other restaurant in Wales. If you were to take on this business, you'd have to get a good chef in.
Without doubt, without doubt. But it's a lovely room.
Isn't it just?
I'd certainly come for dinner here.
Let's go and have a look at where your guests would stay. You lead the way. Up the stairs.
There are 8 guest suites here, and prices start from £130 per night for 2 people.
Oh, it's gorgeous, it really is. I can understand why they call it a boutique hotel, because the finishing is A1.
It's all in great condition.
Yeah.
So it's a place that, if you were up for it, you have to get the right people involved.
Exactly.
And then have it as a lifestyle business for yourself.
Exactly.
Do you like what you've seen so far?
It's quite a bit to take in, but...
Well, it's a completely different concept.
Yeah.
We haven't been looking down this sort of avenue, have we?
If running a restaurant feels a step too far, there's nothing to stop them from simply running this as a B&B. Having seen all that's on offer inside, I want to show them the outside. From the beautifully manicured lawn at the rear, you can really appreciate this property's Georgian splendour. And that seems to have set Joe's mind whirring.
It would be a beautiful setting for a wedding, and because it's so small and intimate, and you've got the lovely gravelled drive as you walk up, it's just so romantic.
From here, you get to see just how gorgeous this property is.
It is a beautiful house.
We do need to talk about money.
OK.
How much is this property on the market for?
I'll go first. I think this would be expensive, possibly over our budget, but I'll be optimistic and say 1.2 million.
OK, you think I've gone top of budget?
I think you've gone top.
Joe?
I think you've exceeded the budget, in the region of 1.3 million.
How about splitting the difference? It's on the market for £1.25 million.
Oh, right. That's a very good price for what you're getting.
Yeah, it's business, land and the properties. I'd say that's fairly good value.
It may be pushing their budget, but our couple could always make an offer on this Grade 2 listed Georgian manor house. As it stands, it delivers a successful up-and-running business, or they could develop their own enterprise here. Sitting in 5 acres of woodland and lovingly maintained gardens, it's within walking distance of the dazzling Llyn Peninsula coastline.
I think it's taking us completely out of our comfort zone. We do like a challenge, but I don't know if this is a little bit too far.
Yeah, one of my concerns I would have about running the hotel and restaurant would be the work-life balance. I think, you know, one of the objectives we have in moving and escaping to the country is the fact that, you know, we do want to take a step back a little bit and get a bit more spare time for us. And I'm not sure we would get that if we took on this hotel.
I'll catch up with Paul and Joe a little later to find out how this and our other properties have informed their next steps. In 2019, Anglesey became the first county in the UK to be officially awarded plastic-free community status. The campaign to remove single-use plastics from daily life was spearheaded by local resident and paddleboard instructor Sian Sykes. So I've come to Aberfrau Beach to meet her.
Sian, you're home. It's gorgeous.
Croeso, welcome. Isn't it beautiful?
What does that status mean for Anglesey?
It shows as an island, as a county, a community, that we are committed to reducing our plastic footprint. So we've targeted quite a lot of businesses on the island to remove the unnecessary single-use plastic bottles, the plastic cutlery, the plastic sachets, plastic straws. And when people come and visit us, we want them to bring their reusable coffee mug, reusable bottle, reusable bag, and help with litter picks.
Sian now plans to set up a small business consortium so that Anglesey's shopkeepers can buy non-plastic alternatives in bulk, making them much more affordable.
You're someone that has made a real change. How can other people do it? Because sometimes it's hard to get through and people don't like to feel bad about themselves. And so then they shut everything off.
But what I say to everybody is think about one type of single-use plastic you use on a day-to-day basis and see if you can remove it or find alternatives, and we can make a difference, and we will make a difference.
It's those little things that can affect change.
Totally.
By using plastic alternatives wherever possible and reusing and refilling, the whole community worked together. Sian, a paddleboard instructor and guide, found her own way to highlight the harm that disposable plastic waste causes to the Anglesey coastline and wildlife by paddleboarding all around Wales. Today we're going to attempt a slightly more sedate journey.
I wanted to show anything that gets dropped in urban areas, in rivers and canals, and then up along the Welsh coastline, finds the water source.
80% of marine litter originates from land-based sources, so this is not a coastal problem.
It is going to be a little bit chilly on your feet. It's not the Bahamas, I'm afraid.
It's not the Indian Ocean,
It's
is it?
not the Indian Ocean, but it's beautiful Anglesey.
All of us, whether we live by the sea or inland, in an urban or rural area, need to remember that the plastic on our streets today can end up in our rivers, beaches and oceans, where it could stay forever.
I thought today, so far, we've been pretty lucky. The water's clear, we haven't seen a lot of rubbish. Is this a good day for you?
It is a good day. With the stats, though, 15% of marine plastic is washed up on our beaches. 15% of it is floating on the water, but 70% of it's actually on the seabed.
And that plastic pollution kills 1 million seabirds and 100,000 mammals across the globe every year.
When people come to you to learn how to paddleboard, does their interest in the environment bring them to you, or actually is it about the sports first?
I think when they fall in love with paddleboarding, it allows them to open up their eyes to nature, to the environment, and they see it at first hand, the scale of the problem, and then they're thinking about what pledges they can make against single-use plastics in their day-to-day lives.
So it's about enjoying beautiful scenery like this at first, and then actually they fall in love and want to look after it.
Totally.
Sian has really got me thinking about making more of an effort to remove single-use plastics from my daily life.
But we haven't finished exploring, have we?
No, let's
get
head off.
back out there. Yeah. You first, I'll let you lead the way.
Okie dokie.
Over the past few days, we've shown Paul and Joe some wonderful properties. Now I want to know what they're going to do next and whether any of our homes are contenders.
I know the mystery was quite a shock. I just thought it was a gorgeous property we shouldn't not see, and quite an opportunity. Is it still realistically in the picture, or is it a bit too much?
It's out of our expertise, really. I think it's our capabilities.
The business is obviously a strong business. The house is outstanding. The grounds are beautiful. As beautiful as it is, it's not going to be our dream location.
And as Paul mentioned before, he's looking at semi-retirement.
That would be right back in the thick of it,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
I think it is still quite a lot of hard work.
Do you think you'll go back to view any of our properties?
Yeah.
House 1 did blow me away. When we walked down that driveway, I fell in love with the house, really, and I thought it was a fantastic location and one that I'd certainly like to go back and have a second look at.
It had everything.
It had everything. So I ruined it by showing you more properties.
You showed us two great areas, first of all in Anglesey and then the Clean Peninsula. So you've really opened our eyes a little bit to another part of North Wales which we hadn't viewed previously.
It's blown our minds, really. It's what we're looking for, the beaches, the countryside, and also, you know, glimpses of Snowdonia.
So the plan is a second viewing of the first property we saw together, and then you're going to come back and revisit this area.
Well, yes, it's a beautiful area. It's worth exploring at least once with a bit more time.
So really, it's Anglesey versus the Clean Peninsula.
Very much so, yes.
I think so.
I can't wait to hear which one will be the winner.
Me too.
Cheers to that.
Thank you.
It's been so lovely exploring parts of North Wales with Joe and Paul, and what's been interesting for me is that even though both of them said they were up for a project, their favourite house and business has ended up being the property that's already done up, ready to move straight into. Wherever they end up, it is clear to see though that Paul can't wait to come back home, and this time with Joe by his side. I wish them the very best of luck. See you next time on Escape to the Country.